This episode is supported by Little Saints. More than a non-alcoholic beverage, it's a mushroom-infused cocktail that elevates the soul. Use code TheMothers20 for 20% off at littlesaints.com. That's TheMothers20 for 20% off at littlesaints.com. Now, enjoy the episode. Hello, friends. Welcome back to The Mothers. I'm your host, Sarah Brown, ushering you into the middle of October and reminding you and myself to order those Halloween costumes off Amazon very soon. I mean, start sewing them, of course. Today is a special day because it's our first foray into the world of, quote, experts who are not necessarily also mothers. In this case, we're really merging the two because our guest, HeHe Stewart, is pregnant and very close to having her first child. In fact, we caught her on her very last day at the office. HeHe is the founder of the wonderfully popular Tranquility by HeHe, which is a maternity concierge. What a nice idea. Doula and birthing service providing in-person, virtual, and travel birth and postpartum support. By the way, you'll hear HeHe has an entire team set up to support her birth, which I'm laughing about and obviously also envious of. HeHe is a leading childbirth educator, advocate, and maternity care reform expert. With a master's in human development and over a decade of experience, she empowers families with evidence-based birth prep, informed decision-making, and postpartum readiness. Are we ever ready? She is a fierce advocate for informed consent, reducing unnecessary interventions, and ensuring patient autonomy in birth. Beyond working with families, HeHe is actively involved in legislative efforts to improve women's health policies and expand access to midwifery, not midwifery, care, advocating for patient rights, increased birth options, and improved maternal health outcomes. And she hosts the Birth Lounge podcast, in which she interviews leading experts in pregnancy, women's health, and newborn development, giving parents the knowledge they need to navigate birth and postpartum with confidence. HeHe is in so many ways an expert on becoming a mother. And here's the thing. She knows too much. She knows so much that she cried when she found out she was pregnant because she knew, because she had seen the transformation that happens to the mother, the loss of identity, the impact to career. And yet she persisted, and she's here to tell us why. Before we jump to her interview, please take a moment to subscribe or follow our podcast wherever you're listening so we can keep growing. It really, really helps. It's annoying, but it really, really helps. I'll wait awkwardly while you do. I really am waiting. Okay, now, please enjoy our conversation with HeHe Stewart.
See the bump? It's huge. Look how big this belly is.
Oh my God.
Oh, you're so cute.
It's actually so huge.
It looks like you have a pillow in your
Literally.
belly.
Literally. Oh man. I had someone write in on Instagram the other day and was like, I'm having a hard time telling between the videos that are like your real belly and your old fake belly. And I was like, literally since February, I've not had any fake belly videos. It's all very much real.
I was actually going to say that it reminds me of like your earlier videos. I was like, it looks like that.
It looks
crazy.
the same.
You
Yeah.
manifested that bump, girl.
Crazy.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You guys, we're 35 weeks. I'm going to have a baby in like a month.
I know. Are we ready? Do you know what you're in for? Have you done some research?
I mean, are you ever ready? Do you ever like really know, you know?
No.
We'll see.
Well, we'll talk all about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
How have your weeks been? This is your last day-ish, maybe before you're off? Is that right?
Tomorrow is my last day doing filming and stuff, and then Friday, Monday, Tuesday, I am wrapping up loose ends, so it's a lot of like internal meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I have this whole page of intros for the podcast to do that I have to sit down. There's probably 50 intros that I've got to get done. And that's it.
That's it.
Actually, no, I'm actually filming an entire course next Monday on how to push out a big baby. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I know. I'm launching that in October before or like to like give me something to do while I'm on maternity leave.
Wait, I have a
Give you
question.
something to do.
Are you going to use any of your real life delivery experience as content for your business? Or are you going to like, this
Definitely.
is behind no one shall see? Oh, you're going to do it
definitely.
all.
I will. So we have a photographer coming who has never done videography before, so she'll just capture like amateur videos. And then I have the 2 doulas that work for me that will be there too, and they're pretty good at videos and stuff. So yeah, I plan on sharing kind of as much as
Wow,
I'm comfortable with and what Instagram will let me. And
content creators can't stop.
there you go. Literally, we were in Canada this weekend, and I was getting ready for bed. And I was like, "Oh, I need to film this." And my husband was like, "Babe, we're literally climbing into bed." And I was like, "This is a good moment."
That's real life, baby.
I gotta get it, man. I gotta get it.
But do that again.
Get out of the frame. Get out of bed.
Asking for a friend. How do you draw that line? Like, what is your motivation? Are you like, this is helpful for other people to see this? Or is there an element of like, this kind of content does really well for me? Like, how do you decide?
It's never about this will do well. For me, it's like, ooh, this is something that not everybody will probably know. I should make a video about it. That's what my motivation is always about. I mean, I have some videos that get like literally 2,000 views, and I'm like, I don't care.
Nailed it.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's 2,000 people that saw that. So somebody wanted to see it. And then I have videos that have.
I say that all the time. Yeah. I'm always like, oh my God, one person loved this. That's amazing.
It's the truth, though. It's like actually genuinely the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. And you know what? People pick up on that. When you have a content creator who has set out to be famous, people know that. People can feel it. And you can feel like, you're literally just doing this to like be famous.
It's performative.
And mine just never is. So like what I recorded in our hotel room in bed was me fixing the pillows and like how many pillows do you need? And like, don't be afraid to ask the hotel for extra pillows. And then he sent out 2 pillows, and they just like, and so I called down and I was like, "Hi, could I get 2 more pillows?" And she was like, "Did you get your first delivery?" And I was like, "I did. I need 2 more." Like,
still need more. Thank you.
Yeah. Literally. Like, I will tip you for the pillows. Please send more. So anyway,
thank you so much for carving out time in your busy work schedule and your gestation period.
Absolutely. Guys, it's an honor. We're good.
Great. Then my other question for you was HeHe, Haley.
HeHe.
Okay. Can you tell me briefly where how long yes.
Yeah. So HeHe is HeHe, and my actual legal name is Haley Elise. So that's the HE.
Okay.
In college, I know I live a holistic lifestyle now. I did not used to. I used to be a mad drinker.
It was a ho-ho.
Yeah, like a mad drinker. And when we drank a lot, Haley Elise was just a mouthful, and my friends would be like asking people like, "Where's Haley Elise?" And it was not coming out as Haley Elise. So like bouncers and other people would be like, "I don't know what the fuck you're saying." And my friends then shortened it to HE, and I was HE for like 1 summer. And then at the end of that summer, it transitioned to HeHe. And it used to have a Michael Jackson inflection on it. And people used to go, HeHe.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah. And that was kind of all through football season of that year. And then it just stuck as HeHe. And I went to grad school as HeHe. And I came up north as HeHe. And then, you know, just after a year of living up here, I started my business. And so it was just natural to be like, what's my business name? And when I started to think about like, well, what do I want to bring to the birth space? It was like, well, I want to bring tranquility. And so actually one of my best friends and my husband was a boyfriend at the time. They were like, well, what about Tranquility by HeHe? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Nailed
so
it.
It's been Tranquility by HeHe from literally, we were sitting around our bar in our house drinking.
I love that.
So
that's great.
It's an evolution.
Yeah. That's the best context. V and I were sort of like, maybe it's related to like breathing rituals.
Breathwork. I was like,
or like, I mean, it does help. Yeah. And I've only met one other HeHe. and they were an aunt HeHe and they were Helen, and their personality was just like
cute.
not a HeHe. So like selfishly,
Right.
I was like, I'm the better HeHe.
Yes. Absolutely.
I wear the name better. Pick something else, Helen.
He doesn't work for you, Helen.
Yeah, literally. You need to go back to Helen.
You're giving Helen energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
There can only be one HeHe, and it's me, Helen.
Yeah. Well, it's a good one. You make a great
Thank you.
HeHe.
Yeah,
Oh,
great
thank
HeHe.
you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Well, that kind of is a nice segue actually into how we like to open this, which
Okay.
is the world loves to tell stories for us, and we love to like just hand over a resume and be like, this is my life. But we would love to give you and our guests, as always, a chance to kind of tell their story and how they like to think about how they became who they are today in this moment, which we're all continuously becoming something.
Yeah.
But how do we reach the HeHe of today? And are there any through lines? And I will ask this later if you don't explain it at first, but why the heck do you get into to doula work and supporting the birth of children without having gone through that yourself? I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, kick it off. Tell us, how do we get here?
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. How I got here was a bunch of puzzle pieces that were meant to fall together, but they had to come in a very strategic place in my life. So I started out my career by getting my master's degree in human development and family studies. And I moved up to the Boston area to follow my then boyfriend, now husband, because he's from Connecticut and he just wanted to be in a big city. And I always thought that I would move to New York. And for a Southern belle, what's the difference between New York and Boston? They were both a big city. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll come to Boston with you. And I got right into early childhood. I did a brief stint in early intervention. That was too hard on me emotionally. It was really tough with the population of people that I worked with to see how little support they had from the government and how much they were taken advantage of. And my big old sensitive heart just couldn't take it. So I had to leave that job and I went back into something that was comfortable and familiar, and that was early childhood education. And I spent time in the toddler classroom, which I love toddlers so much. But my real dream was to be in the baby classroom, in the infant classroom, which is where I did most of my time when I was getting my master's degree. And when I got back into the infant classroom, it's a coveted classroom. So those teachers like really never leave. And so once I got back in there, I had a colleague that said, you would be a great doula. Like you'd be so awesome. Just like the way you interact with parents and what you know about child development. And have you ever thought about that? And I said, I don't really know what a doula is. And she said, oh yeah, it's like it's a birth companion, basically. Like you do childbirth education, you teach people about birth, you attend labors, you work alongside midwives and OBGYNs. And I said, oh, okay, cool. How would one get started in that? And she said, oh, it's like you just take like a weekend course. And so I took the weekend course, and you know, so Raven moments where she like zooms out and like has a vision and she can like see different things. And then she comes back and she's like, whoa. And she has the answer. I had that in that class, and I'm not kidding. I was like, am I Raven Simone? Like what is happening here? And
anyways, now I'm psychic. So.
And so that's that. So I had one of those moments and I was like, wow, I think this is going to change my life. What I also found were a couple of flaws in the training. So I found that it was a bit shallow. I found like there was not a lot of mentorship beyond that weekend course. And I found that there was not a lot of emphasis on mental health, the emotional aspect, and trauma informed, which back then, 10 years ago, I didn't know the term trauma informed, but I knew enough from my master's degree that we were missing that piece. I just didn't have a title to put to it. And so I came home and I told my boyfriend, then husband now, I think I want to create a business, but I've got to do it differently because I think I can do it better. And he was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that's pretty much how every business gets started, is like you see something, you think you can do it better. So like, what would you change? And I was like, rattled off 150 things. And he was like, sounds like you have a business, dude. And I was like, cool. I made a website that night. I went back for the second day of training, 1 month later, I had a client. 4 months after that, she had her second baby, and her first baby almost traumatized her to the point where she did not want any more children. And this, using the approach that I had created, she got a redemptive birth. All she wanted her entire pregnancy was not to have the doctor that she had her first birth. That's all she kept saying. And I kept telling her, we will do our best, but if that person shows up, I want you to know that you are strong enough to still have a birth with that provider. And that provider showed up, and afterwards she came to me and was like, what the hell was that? And I was like, I think that was the universe. Like, you needed that. And she was like, I needed that. And I was like, I know, I saw you like blossom in that birth. And that was the birth where I was like, oh my God, I am onto something. And that child was, he was huge. He was like 11 pounds. And that was the time too. It was my very first birth that I realized, whoa, big babies do not have to be born via C-section. Like, that child looked like a kindergartner coming out. I was like, that is the biggest baby I've ever seen in my life. And I actually, this is my first like real birth I've ever been to.
A whole lot going on.
Yeah. I'm just taking it all in. And so, you know, fast forward 10 years, my practice looks drastically different, but still foundationally it looks the exact same. The same conversations I was having with her, I'm having with clients now. They're just deeper and more robust, and we meet with you more times. Back then it was normal for a doula to meet with you just once or twice, and I started off with 4 meetings, and now we meet with people 10 times. And back then I didn't know what I was doing was actually preventing birth trauma. And now that's part of our language, is that we actively prevent birth trauma. And so you can see the common threads that you kind of asked about is like, my practice has changed because we've gotten better over the years. But where I started was it's always part of what we do.
That's amazing. I'm stunned. Good job, HeHe.
Sarah's like,
I also love the term redemptive birth. I've never, yes. I feel like I have 3 kids, each one in its own way was redemption from the prior. That's interesting.
So I call that leveling up. And I think that women level up every single birth if they want to. And a lot of times you go into your first birth, you don't really know what you want. And then the second time you go in, you're like, I know a lot about what I want. And then by the third baby, you're like, oh, hell no, I know exactly what I want. And then any baby after that, you're like, don't touch me. I've got this. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I'll ask if I need your help. I'll ask if I need an intervention. And you just level up every single time.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything obvious that you went into this, as I keep saying, without having had your own children yet, which I just think is like wonderful that people are curious about this area. I'm sure it's been eye-opening, mind-blowing, learning and seeing humans go through this transformation, birthing in that moment and then the years to follow. Like, how has your understanding of what it means to become a mother changed? Or what do you think about that process now from when you began?
I don't think that I realized 10 years ago that it was an entire change in your identity. Like you literally do break up in a sense with the woman that you were prenatally. That's going to make me cry because I'm so close to doing it myself.
Yes.
And I just know that I'm saying goodbye to a piece of me that I'll never have again, which is beautiful. And I love that. But it is a death in a way, right? And there's a mourning process. And I think not a lot of women recognize that until you're on the other side and you never had the chance to say goodbye to her. And so I feel really privileged to be able to sit in this space and be able to say goodbye to who I am today, because I know in 7 weeks, I won't be the same woman. I will still have my morals and I'll still have my ethics, and the things that I believe will still be the same. And the way that I treat the world around me will still be the same. But you as a human are different. And so for anyone who is on my side of the railroad tracks where you're like, well, I've never had a baby before.
Yeah.
Enjoy who you are now. Not to say that you won't enjoy who you are after babies, but you are going to be fundamentally different. And if you are on the other side of the railroad tracks looking back saying, I wish I had known, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that our culture doesn't talk about that enough, because I do think that there's a lot of space for us to hold for women to say, like, you are one person now and you're going to be a totally different person when you walk out as a mom with a baby on the outside. Your life just changes completely. And I didn't know that. I mean, you got to think, I was 25 when I started my business. I was a small child myself. I just thought like, hey, I can help you have a good birth. But throughout the years, I realized like, wow, if we don't start preparing women to say goodbye to who they are pre-baby, it always leads to some sort of identity questioning. I'm not going to call it a crisis, because not everyone goes through a crisis, but almost every woman looks back and goes, I miss her.
Yeah.
You know?
How are you preparing yourself for that? I think it's probably something that you can only prepare so much, but you've seen so many women on either sides of this. Curious if there are strategies that you're employing or rituals that you're bringing forward about, as you said, death feels so harsh. And I also struggle. I kind of think of it as a expansion growth, maybe not the end of someone, but an expansion in some way. But how are you bringing these lessons into your own process?
Yeah, so you nailed it. That's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm reframing it as a death to a rebirth, is what I have chosen to call it for my own self. And so, in everyday present life, I will just stop and like look around and be like, this is so cool that this is my life now. And like, I'm going to relish in these moments. For example, my husband and I just took our very last trip that we're going to fly, because it's time for me to stop flying. And, when we got on the plane, we were like, this is our last time boarding a flight like to a destination without a baby. And then when we checked into the hotel, we were like, this is our last time checking into a hotel without a baby. And when we got on the plane to come back home, I was like, oh my God, this is our like legitimate last flight without a baby. Like the next time we fly, we're going to have a baby. And so I think it's just bringing that awareness to like, what are you experiencing, relishing in that moment, being very present and being excited about it. Or for us, it's very exciting. And there are waves of sadness. So I cried on that last flight and I was like, we've traveled over 300,000 miles in the last 10 years. Like, we're big travelers. And, my husband just said, like, how exciting is it going to be to have 300,000 miles under our belt with a baby? And I was like, you know what? You're so right. Like, that is so much fun. In my meditations, it started out as a death. And I've talked about this a lot online. I haven't talked about it recently, but when I first found out I was pregnant, I was really sad. I was so sad. I spent 2 weeks crying, and not a lot of people talk about that. And then when you do talk about it, there's so many people who, I don't think they mean to, but they unintentionally shame you and say things like, well, you should just be happy. You should be happy that you're pregnant. You should be happy that you can get pregnant. Being not happy that you're pregnant is kind of ungrateful. And it's like, two things can exist at once. I can be really sad that I'm pregnant and that I have the awareness, which is a privilege, that my life is going to drastically change by the end of this year to a whole new life that I literally have to say goodbye to the life that I currently know. And I can be really excited that we are about to embark on a new journey together. And so in my meditations, when I first got pregnant, it did feel like a death. And there was a lot of like, I would see like my current self and my mom's self. It was me with a baby tied to the front of me. So I was baby wearing, and they would be holding hands, and then they would like kind of slowly slide apart, and they would be like saying goodbye to one another. Now it looks more like a handoff, and they walk together. But it is a rebirth for sure. There is definitely a distinction that the old me doesn't get to come with us, just because that is ultimately what motherhood is. I mean, you become a new woman. So yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, where do you get, you wonderfully brought up identity right off the bat. And that themes for us with our guests is identity, ambition, purpose, meaning. Where currently, like, how do you identify as he? Like, what are the pillars of your identity now? And what do you, I think, how would you think about your identity post kids?
So post kids is kind of hard because I'm not there yet, right? What I will tell you is, I'll tell you a little story. I was a keynote speaker at an event 2 weeks ago, and I had turned in my bio, right? We all have like this bio that we turn in, and mine does not include the word mother. And when she read out my bio, she said she's a doula, she's an advocate, she's a childbirth educator, and she's a mother. And I thought,
huh?
Oh my God, I am a mother. Like, what? That's crazy. And so, you know, even being just like a month or two out from my birth, I still am wrapping my head around an identity of like being a mom. So right now my identity hasn't so much shifted. I'm still a doula. I'm still a childbirth educator. I'm still an advocate. I would say my identity is more around being pregnant than it is a mother. But in the last 2 weeks since hearing that, I mean, something just shifted in me, because I had like a moment where I like shook my head like, whoa, I am a mom. That's crazy. And I think a lot of my identity as a mom is going to be probably unlearning the way that I was raised, and learning how to reparent myself, which I've been working on in therapy for the last 2 years. I kind of had this sense, and I brought it to my husband. I said, I think I'm going to get into some therapy. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, I know that we're going to have kids sometime in the next couple years. And I think I have like probably some unlearning and reparenting to do. And, you know, for a lot of men, that's like such a foreign language. And he was like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but I support you if that's what you want to do. And I was like, okay, great. And I have done a lot of that unlearning, but I do, you know, kids trigger you. They trigger the shit out of you all the time, just like every day. And so I think that's what a lot of my identity is going to be about, is like reparenting myself to be the parent that I want to be, to show up for my children in a way that, a lot of us 90s babies, our parents weren't able to show up for us because they just didn't know, or it wasn't the culture.
Yeah. And so within that, it sounds like you, front of mind when you think of your identity now, it's very attached to your work and your professional self, right? Is that actually true, or was it like that's the easier answer? Because No,
that's actually true. Yeah. I mean, my whole identity for the last 10 years has been my work, right? And that is actually where the sadness came from when I got pregnant. Right. It was like the question I just kept asking through tears to my husband was like, if I'm not a doula, who am I? And he was like, why can't you be a doula after we have a baby? And I was like, but you can't be. And he was like, that is not true. He said, you may not be going to labors in the same capacity for a temporary period of time while we have a baby, but babe, you are still a doula. You can still do legislative work. You can still teach in the birth lounge. You will still have your podcast. He said, you have hundreds of thousands of people that listen to you every day. Those people don't just go away because you have a baby. You just aren't physically in the hospital supporting people. And, you know, for me, that was a real light bulb moment. I was like, you know what? You're right. I am still a doula. And he was like, yeah, you totally are. It's just in a different capacity. So, you know, that beginning of finding out I was pregnant, it was a real doozy. I had to hold a lot of space for I can be this and I can be that. My identity as a doula can pivot to this, and I can pick up motherhood. I can keep these parts of my business, and I can comfortably shift these parts to X, Y, and Z to make it work for my new lifestyle. That's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
That is a really hard thing to do.
I was curious if among your clients, kind of what you've seen, if you could speak high level to like themes of what you've seen around identity shifts, understanding purpose, understanding the role of work and how they kind of make it all work together. Like, what have you seen for mothers going into this and then coming out on the other side, how they've, you know, over the months to years? I know you had mentioned that I think you maintain a relationship with some of your clients for a long period of time. It's not just like day of, weeks after, could be years. Can you speak to what you've seen and how these mothers evolve in terms of understanding their identity and how work fits into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is multifaceted. So the first thing that comes to mind is the number of women who, once they have children, they're like, I don't want to go back to work. I do not want to return. My whole identity is now being a mom, and I love it so much. And I don't want to leave my house or my children to go to work. And then on the opposite end of that spectrum, you have women who say, I love being a mom, but I desperately miss who I was before, that I need to go to work in order to have a balance in my purpose, right? I need to have something outside of the home and outside of my children to feel like my old self again. And then you have people, so you mentioned us staying with our clients for years. Most of our clients go on to have other children with us. And that one is really fascinating. So I feel like I don't want to go back to work versus like, I need to go back to work. Those are pretty conventional, right? It's the people who have multiple children that we're able to watch them grow through multiple children. It's kind of like what we talked about, leveling up your birth. Your identity levels up every single time. And so for the mom that maybe goes back to work after her first because she's cool doing it. She's like, yeah, I would go back to work. It's not a problem. I like my work. I like my job, this and that. Maybe after her second baby, she's like, oh no, I'm not going back to work. How could I leave two beautiful faces? And then after her third baby, maybe she's like making sourdough at home and making their own butter. And she's like really embraced this motherhood thing, right? Or watching a mom become so empowered in her own, I want to say independence, but not independence outside of her family, but just like having confidence in herself. Like, I know what I want for my children. I know who I am. I know the right choices for my family. Whereas so many first-time moms, they outsource their power. What should I do? I need to ask my pediatrician. I need to ask on Facebook groups, which is not a bad thing to crowdsource, but you have to have a line in the sand where you recognize, I'm getting other people's opinions. I'm going to synthesize those within myself, and then I'm going to make my own decision. When you fail to do that, and you start making decisions based on what other people are telling you to do or other people's opinions, you no longer are standing in your power as a mother. You're outsourcing that, right? It's a lot of like what we see in pregnancy where we are outsourcing it to machines and doctors and ultrasounds, which all of those things have a place in pregnancy and birth, but they should not be the things that make decisions for us. At the end of the day, women are so smart and intuitive, and we know the right answer. But if we never give ourselves, and if our environment never is carved out to give ourselves the time to really tap into that space, then we'll never be able to. And I think for women who have multiple children, you get better and better and better at it, to just stop putting up with the bullshit. Stop letting people run over you. Stop letting other people's opinions impact you. You're much better able to say, thanks for sharing that with me. We've actually chosen to do this and we feel very comfortable in it. I'll let you know if we change our mind, right? First time mom, you're rare to find a first time mom that has that much confidence.
Yeah. How does that change? Because there's the series of kids, and I very much identify with each kid, a sense of empowerment. I think I talk about it as with each kid, there was like a feminist awakening of like,
totally.
This can't be the way that this happens. and everything after, like the way that childcare is there. I'm like, there has to be a better way. Yeah. So I feel like, and relate within that, which is maybe not unique to me, but for me, that was my sort of the through line of my leveling up was around owning and feeling my own worth, like kind of as a woman in a way that I think I was never comfortably feminine, I think. Like, and I think I recognized more of the strength of women as opposed to like the soft pink of women over time, which was more comfortable to me. But I was curious in terms of like the evolution over time. I keep seeing this various forms of research that's like, you know, it takes X amount of time for a woman to physically recover from birth, but it takes 5 years to sort of emotionally recover themselves, whatever that means, and sort of figure out identity. Do you see, even in the way that you described, somewhat generic, but also worth unpacking, this like the classic example of a mother, once they have kids, never want to go back to work versus on the other end of the spectrum, like I want to show up the next day in the boardroom, must go back to work. Do you see over like 5 years? I don't know if you have that like length of time with anyone, but hypothetically, over time, does everyone kind of reach a similar place over time? Like, does it change? I mean, I think a lot of mothers like that first week are just like, I can't even think about anything beyond survival. But I'm just curious if you could speak to kind of the over time, how this sense of identity and a desire and needing work in some ways as a source of comfort and purpose apart from, in addition to, and as you said, being a mother, like what have you seen?
I think it's super individualistic for everyone. And I think it really is derived from where does your happiness come from? So if you are someone where your purpose and you get almost satisfaction, your worth, like what you talked about, comes from academia or accolades or being recognized, then you're going to be more drawn to be at work. It's just where those things exist, you know? That's not to say, though, that your partner can't recreate that at home. So there are some women who are totally fulfilled being at home because every single day their husband comes home and says, "You look so beautiful. Thanks for feeding our kids today. Like, look how strong and smart our kids are. And that's all because of you. Like you did all of that." And I think some women too go into it and they already know that their identity is kind of to be a mom. So that is me. I do know that my identity is being a mom. When you used to ask me when I was a kid, I would tell you, like, I want to be a mom. And people would be like, cool, but what do you want to do for a job? And I would be like,
mom.
Be a mom. Like, do you not understand what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? Why can't you understand that? And they'd be like, no, but do you want to be like a doctor or a veterinarian or a pilot? And I'd be like, no, I want to be a mom. And you could just tell from a little girl that the programming was like, being a mom is not a job, right? It was like this constant conditioning that like being a mom is not a job. You have women who go into this and they just know, like, I'm not going back to work. This is my job now. I think society has a lot to do with it too, because some people don't have that privilege, right? Sure. So you've got people who they don't have a choice but to keep their old identity because you can't afford to stay home. You can't afford to be a single income family, or maybe that mom is the breadwinner in that family. Maybe the whole family's insurance is through her job. We see that too. I mean, over the last 10 years, I've supported 2,000 families or so. And so I've seen a lot. There's a lot out there. And to live in a country that just doesn't support motherhood and femininity and the family unit is really hard. And I would be very interested to see how many moms actually go back to work if we were able to subsidize growing your family by some sort of stipend and a comfortable stipend. I'm not talking $300 a kid. Like you can't even buy diapers for that. Right. But like a comfortable stipend to help actually our families in our country live a comfortable life, how many women would go back because they genuinely wanted to or because they felt like they had to? Also, how many women would feel comfortable exploring a different part of their identity if they didn't feel the obligation to go back to work? I would love to see that.
Sure. How do fathers play into this? Not, I mean, there are many forms of coupling, but I'm curious if in this case, this is very a women-centric like point of view. What do you see among the fathers around this also? Like identity shift? Because classically, unfortunately, I feel like gendered roles just, it's hard to extract yourself.
Yeah.
The dad's going to go back to work, pick up the suitcase or whatever briefcase, and like 10 days later, like on the road.
Well, and in America, they're not given really an option more times than not. Like, it's like, you get 2 weeks, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like identity, I think there's a whole lot of stuff to unpack there, but I'm curious from you've sat in these rooms with a couple, you get to know them. What do you see? I'm sure dads also want to identify as fathers, and their identity is just as for women and mothers, like is sort of like they put the hat on as opposed to like it's maybe necessarily coming from within them. But yeah, what do you see among the fathers around purpose and identity, and do they have their own version of a non-crisis after the kids arrive?
Yeah. So I think there's two parts to this. So I think there is a nature part where men will go through an identity shift, and if left to their own devices, they'll want to be with their family unit. Right? I went to a conference recently, and one of the speakers described going out to war was the old way that we used to protect our family. That's how we used to show that I was a strong man. I loved my family. I can care for my family. I went out to war. I physically protected them. We don't really have that anymore. I mean, we've got wars, but it's your average everyday person. You got to be in the military to be in war, right? The way that a man shows up now in a natural space, if left to their own devices, is defending their family's choices. So we've decided to homeschool, and you say that confidently. You don't put it on your wife and say, well, the old ball and chain wants to homeschool, so I guess that's what we're doing. No, you stand confidently in that, and you say, we have chosen to homeschool our children, and we are confident in that. My wife is the best teacher for our children. If you have chosen to home birth, it is not, well, she wants to home birth, so I guess that's what we're doing. It is, we have decided to home birth, and I trust her, and I support that. Right? It is being able to defend your wife in labor when a doctor comes in and says, V, it's time for your cervical exam, and you say no. And the doctor says, we don't really have a choice in this. Your husband steps up and goes, yes, she does have a choice. She has declined. Thank you very much. Right? That is how men really want to show up. But conditioning from our country and our society has taught them that being a man actually means you go to work, so you leave the home, you bring home money, and then you don't really have to do anything at home. So you can just come home and like sit in your lazy boy, and your wife will take care of the food, and she'll sweep the floors, and she'll do the dishes, and your underwear will always be clean and in the drawer waiting for you. And you never have to wonder if there's going to be toilet paper on the toilet paper roll, because it just magically appears. You don't know how it gets there, but somehow it always gets there when the toilet paper roll is out, right? And like your steaks are always in the freezer. You're not sure how they get there. And your wife takes on that mental load. And so I think that you've got men that will either lean into the first one or they will lean into the second one. And to me, the big difference is, does that man have people around him that are guiding him? Because if he doesn't, he is going to believe that the socialized version of a man is enough. And it's not. We all know this. We know that will never work, right? It's probably why our country has a 50% divorce rate.
Mm-hmm.
Women are doing it all. The mental health is on them. They wake up and go, damn, I am so unhappy. I don't know how we got here because I used to be so in love with this man.
Yeah.
3 kids later, you're looking at him going, you don't help me with anything. You're basically a 4th child. How, I mean, seriously, you know, and we laugh about it, but I think we laugh about it because it's so true. And if it's not true for us, then we know at least 5 other women that it is true for. Whereas if that man has a group of men, or at least just one other man, he doesn't even need a group is better. If he has what we think about as that tribal communal support that men used to have, you go out, you hunt, you fish, you bring back, but they also taught them how to be a good, productive community member. If men don't have that, at least one other friend that's guiding them, they will not lean into what they perceive as being very feminine. But what we know hormonally is that men do get a lot of what we traditionally think about as feminine hormones postpartum. And so they're drawn to cuddling with their baby. They're drawn to doing skin to skin. If you will allow them, and you being like society and paternity leave and the household, if you will allow them to soften, to welcome their new baby in, they will. I mean, we don't want being a macho man holding this tiny little baby. That is not what we want, right? We want a soft man that's able to cuddle this baby, show up for his wife in a sensitive way. And here's that and again, hold that space for the masculine to say, yes, we have chosen X, Y, and Z, and we feel comfortable with that. Right? So that's kind of the evolution of men that I see. And like I say, it really depends on a lot of factors on which way they go in that fork in the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you, is part of your role to kind of support both mother and father in this part of the journey of the transition, not just the physical birth, and kind of how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of talking prenatally about what will postpartum look like and how can both of them show up. And I think that's probably one of the most shocking conversations that we have with people. And we have it around usually between 34 and 37 weeks, so that they've got a couple of weeks to wrap their head around it and get a plan in place. We encourage people to make a postpartum plan. Who will you call in certain situations? Who do you have on speed dial if you were to need a friend to come sit with you, if you were to need someone to come walk your dog, if your husband did need a friend, who could he do? Let's go ahead and think about that before baby is here. That way we're not sleep deprived and stressed and trying to be in that survival mode and also trying to find your husband a friend, right? In terms of how do you support both of them, I have a dad days course that goes into this in masculine language, right? So men need to hear things from their own point of view. So I do a lot of like football examples, and I'm like, listen, this is you and this is your wife and you guys are working together. And there's so many men that will write me and be like, dude, that football analogy was so good. And I'm like, yeah, good, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad that it hit. I'm glad that it really made an impact. But I think men want to show up. They just don't know how to. And so if you can have these conversations beforehand, it will help them so much. And I think for women, it's not that they don't know how to show up. If they're allowed to have the space to show up in a way that they can tap into their instincts and do that, then they will. The problem is teaching them how to carve out that space, right? How do you tell your mother-in-law, no, thank you, I've got it. I don't need any help here. But what I could use help with are the dishes that we didn't get to last night. And then I'm going to shower. And would you mind holding the baby while I showered? Right? Like there are ways that you can carve out spaces for your life. And that's the uncomfortable piece for women. It's not that we don't know how to show up. It's that we're unsure. How do you walk the line of asking for help without being ungrateful and letting your own boundaries go? How do you ask for help without it being at the expense of you and your instincts. And that's the really hard part.
I was going to ask you actually on this too, because this asking for help is a theme among our guests too, of a lot of metaphorically, or like I feel like we're talking to the oldest daughter always, who's like, I don't need help. I can't ask for help. Like I can do whatever I need to do.
I'll just do it
figure
myself.
it out.
Fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And both resent, but also take pride in doing it alone. You talk a lot about help and almost use different language, which maybe is key as around empowerment, etc. But like, how do you think about for yourself, but also as you coach women in this area of like asking for help? Even hiring a doula is considered from my perspective. This is like, okay, alternatively, you do the bare bones thing and you're the tough one that like doesn't need anything. Like just use the whatever, the shitty smock that they give you. Like don't come in with anything cozy, just like get in, get out. But obviously to our detriment. So how do you help mothers ask for help, or how do you help them? How do you help them get help?
So I think one of my biggest lessons that I help women realize is that asking for help, contrary to what social conditioning has told us, it's not weak. It's actually strength, right? We were never meant to do this alone. We weren't. We were never meant to do this alone. It's just not how community started. It's not how feminism started. It's not how family started. It's not how birth ever went until they took it out of the home and put it in the hospital and was attended by white men instead of other women. It's just not how we were meant to live. And so if you can get to a place where you can understand that asking for help is a real strength, then it gives you a lot of control. The other thing that you can do to stay in control of that is exactly what we just talked about, is put boundaries around what do you and don't you want help with. So I, as HeHe, I don't want help with my baby's sleep or learning how to change diapers or swaddling or any advice for feeding. I've been doing this for 10 years. I do it for a living. I feel very, very confident in it. And not only do I feel confident in that, but I actually already have a team of people that I trust. So as far as like relying on my mom or my mother-in-law, I love them, but they're not the people that I want helping me make those decisions, because they had a baby 35 years ago. I'm having a baby now in 2025. Yeah. So I have people that I rely on. I also think asking for help is a really great, sly way to get yourself some self-care. So people often look at asking for help as a weakness, but it's a really great opportunity to look at it for self-care, right? Like if I could have a college student come over 4 hours a day, twice a week, I could at least shower twice a week. So that's a win. And I could do 2 yoga classes, or maybe I choose 1 yoga class and I can grocery shop myself because I genuinely love grocery shopping. And I don't love having to order groceries delivery because they never get the brands right, or they always choose the bruised fruit, and that kind of stuff gets on my nerves, right? So like if you reframe asking for help as a way of I'm refilling my cup, my own cup, that is such a good reframe. And you cannot pour from an empty cup, which seems so cliche, but think about how many of us had moms and dads that were just pushed to the brink. They worked all day, every day. How many latchkey kids say, I don't really care about the lifestyle I grew up in. I just wish my parents were around more. That is what your kids want. And I think so many of us, it's certainly not our fault. It's the way that society has programmed us. We think that having the grandiose birthdays and having 50 gifts under the tree at Christmas and getting a huge gift every day during the period of Hanukkah, and if you're not ordering a bouncy house and you're not having a humongous 100-person birthday party and you don't have a big, huge cake with fireworks at the top, then you're not giving your child the birthday or the Christmas or the Hanukkah or the holiday that they deserve. If you're not taking them on a Disney trip once a year, then you're failing as a mother. Those are not the things that your kids remember. Do they remember those things? Sure, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what fulfills them? No, it's not. It's sitting on the floor playing trucks with you for 1 hour uninterrupted where you're not on your phone. There's nobody else. You're not answering emails. You're not having to say, 1 minute, baby, 1 minute. I'll be there in just 1 minute, right? You are truly present with your children. That's what they remember. They remember being able to come to you in high school and say, I think I messed up. And you're like, okay, let's talk about it. We can fix it. There's nothing that you can do that will make me not love you. I can't always promise I can fix it depending on what you've done, but I won't abandon you and I won't stop loving you. We will figure this out together. And I think that's what so many of us did not get as a child, and what so many of us have the opportunity to give our children now because we know better and we have the tools to do it where our parents didn't.
I love that. That's actually a helpful segue. We do these sort of short answer closing questions. And they're usually, obviously, you are our first guest pre-kids. And as we said, I feel like in some ways the most informed. You're all but physically a mother, or literally a mother in some ways. We typically ask this question of like, if you could go back to your new mom self, anything you'd like to say to them. But I'm curious if there's anything that you'd like to say ahead to your to-be new mom self.
Yeah, I think I would tell her, you have got this. You know what you're doing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You can do this. Not every day is going to be glorious, but every day is going to be a gift and you can figure it out.
Yes. We have to have you back post kids at some point and see what you would say then. Probably similar.
I'm doing this.
Yeah. You did it. Is there, similarly, kind of looking ahead, is there anything, what would help look like for you as you like, what would support look like, or what would something to make it a little bit easier in the, months following the birth of your child? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I can tell you guys what I'm doing. I mean, we have it planned out. So I do have postpartum doulas. We've got 2 nights a week set up. Right now it's for 2 months, and it's just going to give my husband and I a chance to sleep. These are doulas that are on my team, so I know them very intimately and I feel really safe with them. I also have my physical team. So I've got my midwifery team that will come and check on me at home because I'm doing a home birth. I have my PFPT set up, so I have some physical support for my pelvic floor. We have a short-term meal service for the first 4 to 6 weeks set up. And right now we're still kind of nailing down whether we will have them do just dinner or if we will have them do breakfast and dinner. And then lunch will kind of be on our own. We can order out. We've got really great people in our life that are doing meal trains, so we'll have plenty of food. And then the other thing that I'm doing that is it's not bringing in support. It's actually putting boundaries around support, which I think a lot of people don't think about, is we are limiting the number of people that are going to come and see us, and we're not letting people come and see us for the first few days after our baby is born. And it's something that honestly was a point of a little bit of tension between my husband and I, because he envisioned people being here literally hours after the birth. I mean, he was like, the baby's going to pop out and we're going to like tell our parents to come. And I was like, we are in no way doing that. That's absolutely not what we're doing. And he was like, well, why? And I was like, because like, what? Why would we do that? And he was like, this is the first grandbaby on both sides. Like, they're going to be so happy. And I was like, okay.
He'll be happy in 3 days.
Exactly. And also, like, he has never seen a birth. I have seen many. you need some time to wrap your head around what just happened to you. And you also want to have this time between just you and your partner and your little nuclear family to soak up all the goodness. And I think until you've been there, or unless you have witnessed that, it can feel like, oh yeah, the baby's here. Like, let all the visitors come. And that is just so far from what I want. And I will be eager to see how he feels about it on the other side. We have agreed on day 3. I am interested to see if maybe he pushes that back a little bit once the baby gets here and he realizes, like, maybe we're not ready for people, because it is a sacred space. And the one thing that you can't know until you're in it is you never get those days back. Ever. So if you have visitors over during those days, you will never get those days back. They will always be filled with visitors. And then the second thing that we have done in terms of boundaries of support is we are kind of not open to the opinions. I just kind of hinted at that, but we've kind of set some boundaries around, like, we don't really want opinions on the way that we feed our baby, or the things that we're choosing for our baby, or the setup that we have in our house. If you see something dangerous, or you know something that like absolutely will change our life, we invite you to share that. But as far as like general thoughts, we'll come to you if we feel like we need something. But he's in healthcare. I've been doing this for 10 years. We have a really good team set up, and we feel super set. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about setting boundaries. They just think about, what can I add? And sometimes it's good to subtract opinions.
Gotta hold that line. Totally. Yes.
I love seeing that as help, because when you're in it, it's so hard to advocate for yourself.
Totally.
But having that conversation beforehand and setting the expectation and being clear about that is so helpful. So good on you for recognizing that.
And what a team. It is. Going back to the football metaphor, you got a whole big football team.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, last question is, and I feel like we got to get you out, or even just a snapshot after the fact. Is there anything that you would like to say ahead to this little baby burrito that might one day listen to something like this?
Just how loved they are. Like, even though I was sad at the beginning, like, you're so wanted. It had nothing to do with us not wanting you or me not wanting to be pregnant. It was simply literally me realizing like how much our life was going to change, and change is really hard sometimes, but it doesn't mean that you're any less loved. Like, you are so loved. I keep joking, maybe you will listen to this in 35 years. I keep joking that you will be the president of the United States. So maybe one day at your inaugural speech, and you are saying, "Hi, Mom and Dad, I'm the next POTUS. We can play this," with tears in my eyes. And I can say, I grew that. And that is, you were so loved from the moment that we found out we were pregnant. You were loved. Me being sad is not an indicator of that. And I think so many times that's conflated. But yeah, just like how loved you are. We've set up our whole life to welcome you, and it feels fun. We're excited to meet you.
Thank you for that. I think it's really powerful to hear you say that, actually, because I think, as you said from the beginning, a lot of people some people are just endlessly joyful, blindly joyful when they get pregnant. There's also a lot of complicated feelings, but it's interesting to put that towards how the future child might feel. And I think there's some of the guilt around those feelings is related to, like, it doesn't mean that I don't want this kid. And then when you think about that kid in real life in the future, I'm glad that you could say it. Like, I wanted you. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It's about kind of getting the rest of us reorienting our identities to make room for you. So thank you for being so open about that.
Yeah,
you're so awesome.
Thanks for letting me cry. Hormones are crazy. Who am I kidding? I feel like that all the time.
I feel like on our podcast, I'm like, we got him to cry.
That's a good thing.
Well, I cried
not in a mean way.
Not good content. No. Do that again. Do that again. Cry again.
Yeah, exactly. Ugly cry.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a very easy rest of your pregnancy. And
it's going to be great.
As bright as today is.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Good
All right,
luck.
Miss.
You got this.
thank
It's gonna
you.
be amazing. Also, like personal side note, that experience of like feeling sadness and conflicting emotions when finding out that you're pregnant totally resonates. And now that my son's here Earthside, I mean, I even say it to him now, he's a year old, but I'm like, I felt scared and sad and whatever when you're here, and I'm so glad that you're here, and like life is so good. And like I was very transparent with those emotions, and I think other people are always like, what, or like get kind of freaked out. I'm like, that's a very real thing to experience. Like,
I had so much guilt over it because I had never really heard anybody talk about it. And I actually hesitated to talk about it online because I knew how mean people were going to be. And people on Instagram were not mean at all. Nobody was mean to me. TikTok was brutal.
Of course.
They're always brutal. But right now I'm dealing with a lot of sadness of like the pregnancy coming to an end. And I'm like, I'm very sad to not be pregnant anymore. And, yeah, nobody talks about that either, but it doesn't mean I'm not excited for the baby to be here either. Like, I'm excited for our baby to be here, but I'm genuinely so sad to not be pregnant anymore because I have loved it so much. And everybody just keeps saying like, just wait till they're here. And I'm like, I know, like, that's not what I'm looking for right now. And I don't know what I'm looking for. There's probably not an answer that I'm looking for, right? But like to hear people say like, oh, but when they get on the outside, you're going to love them just as much. I'm like,
it's just different.
That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying I don't want them to be born. Like, of course I want them on the outside, but I have loved pregnancy so much. It has been, actually, we went to dinner last night. My husband was like, how are you feeling about it? And I was like, this has been the best joy in my life. And he was like, not marrying me. And I was like, well, it was until I got pregnant. And like, that's the second joy in my life. But like, obviously this is better. And he was like, babe. And I was
rude.
Like, sorry. Just is the way that it works.
That's so interesting because you've seen so much. It almost makes you more aware of the temporality. I don't know, the temporariness of parts of it, even though, and also even more aware of what's next, but you're more attuned to like, this is a special time that doesn't happen all the time. And I personally am more sort of blindly moving forward, and it's almost too painful to look back and think about this is the last time we're going to change the diaper and all those things. And that's not necessarily healthy either, but I think that there's something you've been exposed, you know so much.
Yeah.
And you're doing such great you've turned that into wisdom for yourself.
Thank you.
And for everybody else.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me pre-baby, you guys. I'm honored to be your only.
It was amazing to hear you.
So proud.
You're so smart.
The honor is always.
You're crushing it.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
What a joy. What a like brave, confident believer in dreams, believer in herself, go to do the thing. Like a lot of very healthy reflection, but not and distinct from like quote insecurity. And I don't know if I am I capable of this? More like here's what I want to do, and like this what I don't know. Very liberated.
Surefire. Yeah. Yeah.
And I still think I love you were like this, like kids, because she was talking about as a child, she was like, I always wanted to be mom. I loved being with kids. I want to do early childhood development stuff. And I was like, wow. I had none of that. I feel like kids like made me nervous.
So interesting. Yeah, I definitely like resonated with pretty much everything that she said. Where like from a young age, like I was a baby taking care of babies, and then got into I don't have a degree in childhood education or anything, but nannied for so long, and then inspired to do the doula course, and was like, fuck yes, this is incredible, all while thinking like I probably am not going to have my own kids. And then having complex feelings when finding out I was pregnant of like, it's almost like the ignorance is bliss. And when you know, you're just like, I'm excited about that. And it's terrifying because I know what to expect. It's like the second round of a roller coaster, you go on and you're like, holy shit. Like I didn't know anything that was going to happen. And the tops and oh my God, we went upside down, whatever. And then if you go on again, you like know that that's going to happen. So there's this like, it's a different type of fear.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting also like validating, I feel like, for her, who's like in the field. She is so knowledgeable and educated and aware. Right. And she's still like, and I'm still feeling like sadness, and I'm doing these things, and there's still stuff I'm figuring out.
Yep.
So like, isn't that cool that we're all trying to figure it out together?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Man.
Just respect it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved, it was great that she was able and happy to share, although made her sad at the time, but like happy to share the complicated feelings about, do I want to have a, like, not do I want to have a kid, but like just sadness over becoming pregnant, and also joy, but also, and talking about you can feel more than one thing at once, doesn't negate the other thing. And so I think what I'm really curious about, and I want to, we should do just like a drop in at least or something after she's had this child, and then at least maybe a couple months after, she talked so clearly in a way of like the death of her identity and who she is. She's not going to be like the same person, and very and interesting. She was like, I know that I want to be a mother, and I know that she anticipates that she knows about herself that wants to be the all consuming identity that she'll take on once she has a kid. And I'm curious if she alluded to it a little bit, but I'm curious if in practice on the other side, if she finds more comfort in the or if she wants to be all in. But I thought that was really interesting. And I also, I think the wisdom that she has, or the foresight that she has of seeing women that like on either side of this, and how they are in some way, I think she was suggesting that like she could probably predict who would end up on either end of that spectrum of like, I can't wait to go back to work, or like, I don't know if I ever want to go back to work. And that it does to her relates a lot to where do you get your
validation?
Not only validation, like some element of like what props you up, what makes you feel good, what gives you purpose. Yeah. So I'm so interested. And it's amazing that also the team that she's assembled to like support her.
So good. I know.
Birth. I was like, wow, I think there are 10 people on the line, like lined up. I mean, at least I don't even know. So wise, like did not even occur to me when we were having kids connected. Of like, it was only kind of after the fact of, I think we got like lactation consultants that could have been better. But also she does offer these night doulas in a way. I think she's trying to do it in a way that's like a little less cost prohibitive compared to some other offerings. But I don't know. What else popped for you?
I think the biggest thing that I'm just so impressed by her with is like her confidence in everything. Like she is it goes along with what you said in the beginning, but like with everything she says, she sounds at least so sure, even in her questioning of things. It's like very just like direct and matter of fact. And this is what we're doing. And it makes sense because as a doula, you are empowering people to say like, this is your choice. You get to make this decision. This is about you. No one's going to tell you what's going to happen to you. You get to decide that, whatever. And I just thought that was like so beautiful and impressive. And I think that, I just like really admire and appreciate her story. Also just love that like she heard about the doula stuff and then was like, I guess I'll try it. And then it was just like this ripple effect of like, oh my God, this is exactly it. And then to come home, because I've done that training, that first day, you're just like, huh? And I love that she saw I don't want to say flaws, but like the missing pieces and was like, I could do that. I can fix that. And then went home and did it like that night, was like, yes, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
Yes. And then did it. She did it. Yeah. And she's so good at it and has helped thousands of people. Like that's fucking awesome.
For sure. Absolutely. And I'm glad we got into a little bit of the role of the mother and classically the role of the father and what those experiences would look like potentially if after a kid was born, everyone had the financial freedom primarily to take, I don't know, 6 months off or something. Like, I wonder what it would look like for everyone to go back to work after that, what kind of work they would want to be doing, how much, like, are all parents kind of doing, like, could we resolve a lot of these identity things if we just had time and space right away, as opposed to like kicking the can down the road and trying to like put ourselves back together in the context of the work that is making it harder for us to just like see ourselves again. Like, I don't know. I mean, of course, I wish that was how the kind of support that everyone had. And it does, I think her work really is trying to like bridge the gap as much as anyone can of like make the recovery an intentional caring experience as opposed to a walk it off, get back out there.
That actually did like ignite another thought I had, that like oftentimes, obviously our conversations are focused on the mother, but I do feel passionately, and not in an like excuse way, but in an understanding way of the experience of the father and all of this, of like, we have 9 months of our body transitioning and like feeling that our hormones and everything is changing, whatever. And then they're just like thrown into it from, like she was saying at the end of like having visitors, right? She's like, I don't think you're going to like feel that way. We're like, same. Like, it's like our world has just changed so much, like in mere seconds, that like you can't quite possibly, you know, we've had time to process that and expect that, or know that this is going to happen. Whereas partners, I guess I don't want to say fathers, and like the birthing person experiences this very differently than the support partner. And I just think that is like a really interesting conversation to have, that we haven't, like, that felt lucky to hear her historical experience or thoughts rather. And then also like, how can we help them now to like be the best version of themselves within the limitations of like our country's support and, you know, and financial restrictions and stuff. So.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. A lot comes to a head around birth. I feel like it's a politicized thing. Or I mean, in the sense that it's like a lot of societal political things like come into play. Not that it needs to be politicized, but it's like,
but it also is.
Yes, it is obviously politicized, but like just in the way that how you experience birth and the months following is political. Unfortunately. Go vote.
True.
Okay. Should we talk about some joy?
Yeah.
I was briefly my quick answer, Joy, is that he referenced That's So Raven in the middle of the interview. And I was like, it both made me be like, oh my God, I forgot about That's So Raven. And then also being like, now I'm older.
You're like
that's not the point of reference that I would have used.
What would you have used? What would yours be?
I think mine would be, I mean, I can't think of the equivalent for what she was trying to explain as the reference point. I don't know what the corollary is, but I don't know, like Punky Brewster or the like Boy Meets World, but like that was later too. You might get Boy Meets World. Family Matters.
Family Matters or Seventh Heaven.
Oh, I never actually watched Seventh Heaven. But,
Heaven.
Cool kids did.
I watched it. I didn't know until recently. I'm like, oh, was it like a religious show? It like was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I didn't realize.
Was the dad a priest?
Yeah.
Is that why? Okay. Yeah. Oops. That's so funny. I never watched it. I don't know if subconsciously it was just like not
didn't hit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
it wasn't
it was just the context was like classic religious family.
Exactly. Which it's just funny that I did not pick up on that when we were watching it when we were younger.
I was heavily in Dawson's Creek at that point, I think.
Did you watch the reunion thing that happened the other day?
Recently?
Yeah, there was they had a reunion because I guess the guy who plays Dawson's Creek he has
dying.
Cancer. Oh.
Is he? No, maybe he's not dying. He has horrible cancer, like colon.
Stage 3 colon cancer, but
maybe he's gonna be okay. But yeah,
I don't know. But he wasn't able to make it. But then, like, they did something, and then they all sang on stage.
They sang.
They sang
the song. I don't want to wait
for my life to be over.
Make me sing it. Oh
yeah.
my God!
Maybe that's
like so many great Michelle Williams coming out of there.
Yeah. Huh?
Oh, Will Fair. Wait, also Sarah. Oh, here's my joy. I have to watch that. And Sarah McLachlan is back in real, like new album.
She's crushing it,
and has brought Jimmy Kimmel back to life.
I know.
Yeah, we remembered him. Wow, so many points of joy. That's enough.
Big joys.
Lots of joys. What's your joy?
Let's see. What's my joy? I feel like we're like really being part of the neighborhood now, or like compound, community, cult, unclear.
I was gonna say you did it.
Like my neighbor brought me over some propagated plants the other day, and then last night we got to make salad for dinner with all the stuff from the garden.
Wait, sorry, go back real quick. What's a propagated plant?
So like there's the mother plant, and then you could cut off pieces and like reroot to like grow another version of that plant.
Oh wow.
So he did that and like put it in a pot for me. No. What? It's a plant. No, so like, do you know like a pothos plant? I feel like that's like the most commonly, I don't know, it's a common house plant. It's like a very viney looking.
Okay.
So you could cut off one of the vines, put it in water, it makes roots, and then you could plant that, and then it's a baby of that. So he did that for me, which was like really nice, and like had clearly gone out to the store to buy like a
that's so
pot,
nice.
and I was like, and then like another neighbor was like, oh, I found these chairs, so I got them for you, like little kids chairs, and just like put it on the porch, and I was like, and then we went to see my partner / baby daddy's like we went to like a work thing yesterday that he was doing. Just they had like a professional development day, so we went to join them for lunch. And our neighbor also works for the higher ed department that like he was doing this presentation at. So then we went next door and saw our neighbor and hung out with them, and it was just like fun. I was like, wow, we're really like in the community, so it felt good.
Good.
It's impressive how quickly that has happened, because we've been here like 9 days. And it feels like, I don't know. So
good. Oh, good. That's great. I'm so happy. It also just looks so nice in your background. I can't wait to come see.
My AI background. It feels like it.
It's real.
It's real.
Oh, yeah.
AI. Like,
yes.
Like the windows. I'm like, these are nice.
Minus the blurry edges of your hair around. I feel like I would love an AI background, but it just never looked right.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
True. Why does it do that? That's annoying.
Get
Green
better.
screens. I'm sure it will, like next week.
I know.
Scary.
Well, amazing. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, HeHe.
HeHe, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear all about this little dude. She suggested it was a boy, right? Isn't that what she? I think she said
girl.
Girl.
I don't think she said either, but I thought she was having HeHe. I hope your baby HeHe is good.
I hope. Yes, HeHe. We want little HeHe.
You're great and healthy and happy.
Yes, exactly.
It's gonna be great.
Truly laughing. HeHe. Okay.
Yay.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and we can reach even more rock stars like you. The Mothers is a production of Backline Media, shining a light on those who carry the team.